Your field is like a recording device, like having your phone constantly recording everything you've ever been through. And it imprints a vibration into your field from everything, whether you loved it, hated it, whether it just was horrible for you or fantastic for you. This vibrational imprint is lingering around in your field, and your field informs your body. And so many times, especially those of you who have gone to doctor after doctor, test after test, and they go, nothing shows up on your tests. We have no clue what's wrong with you. You might be making it up in your head. No, 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 you're not crazy. The imprints, these disturbances are in your field, but they don't have equipment that can measure your field in the doctor's office. And so it shows up as mystery symptoms
Hmm.
or blatant symptoms, but they aren't testable. But that doesn't mean they're not real. And so when we work in your biofield first and we clear and harmonize, think of tuning up a guitar. You don't throw the guitar out or cut it up or cut the strings off. If it's out of tune, we tune it up. And
Hmm.
then it plays beautiful music again. And that's what we're going to do here today.
We are going to take some callers. So everyone raise your hand. We want to show you this in action and take a little segments and little mini sessions. Debora, we were talking earlier in the pre-call and I'd mentioned like the auric field, the
Mhm.
etheric field, and some of these different terms. And then
Yeah.
now we have maybe for some a new term called the biofield that
Yeah.
you've brought forward. Tell me, what are the differences or similarities between some of these different fields that we're talking about?
Well, remember, this is ancient wisdom,
Mhm.
but for all kinds of reasons, which we won't go into today, the spiritual ancient healing practices got put on the back shelf and labeled as woo-woo and weird, which they're not. But in the 1980s, the National Institute of Health, which is kind of the god of modern medicine, conventional medicine, they decided to do a study to see this energy field, this chi field, this prana field, this energy field that everyone was talking about. They actually did a study, and they are the ones that coined the term biofield, saying, yes, around every living thing, there's a field of information and energy. And that's how this new science started to show up. But the chi field, the prana field, the 0 point field, the energy field, the auric field, we've known for a long time. You look back at, I've been a student and a teacher of yoga for many years now, and you look back thousands of years, they were talking about the subtle energy bodies that extended beyond the physical. That's that's what we're talking about. We live in a gigantic ocean of energy and information, and we're all interconnected via this one field, but we also have an individual biofield, and that's your auric field. Some of you may have even had your auric field photographed. There's equipment that does that. It's pretty fascinating. And there's a device out of Russia that you find in subtle energy research labs, which I've been into many times, but you don't find this device in a doctor's office. And this is where we can get very intricate information about what's going on in your biofield that's showing up in the body. It's fascinating, it's accurate, and in fact, I can find things in the biofield
Mhm.
that could take 10 years, maybe even longer, to show up in your body. So who doesn't want to know this way ahead of time, right? We don't want to wait till we have XYZ.
Right,
That's the
right.
beauty of it.
There are a lot of people, and thank you for that, Deborah. That makes sense, right? This is not necessarily something new. It's something very ancient that we've begun to forget in our cultural times right now. And you've brought it forward, and been able to actually master working in this area for transformation. And we are really getting inundated with a lot of questions that are coming in. So if you have written to me, will you please raise your hand? So, I could read your question, but it would be great to get you live with Debora. That is a very special and valuable opportunity. Grab it if you can. Is there a biofield around particular organs or parts of our body? So, for example, like 3 weeks ago or so, I tweaked my back. I shared a little bit of that. Is there a biofield around my back itself or my spine or those muscles or ligaments that were under strain? Is there particular information or memories that sort of are circulating in that area of my body? And conversely, is there a biofield around like my heart or around my liver or kidney or a knee?
Well, every organ has it vibrates to a particular frequency, but you have one biofield. Think of it as an extension of your skin that's more subtle, so you don't see it. It's not physical,
Okay.
it's more etheric. But the biofield is talking to the body, and the body is also communicating back. It's a two-way communication. You were receiving information when you tweaked your back, and you were also sending information. And so I can find where and how you disturbed your back when I scan your biofield, the one
Okay.
field. And guess what's so fascinating is often the symptoms are not where the problem is. So, for example, I had someone just the other day, she had severe migraines and stomach pains that seemingly came out of nowhere.
Okay.
So, of course, when that happens, if you go to a practitioner, they want to look at your stomach. They want to take a test. Well, she did everything. She ended up in the ER because they couldn't find anything on any test. Meanwhile, it's getting worse and worse. When I scan her field to work on her, out of nowhere, which really that's not true, it's right out of the field, what came bubbling up were emotions and then an awareness that she's been having marriage difficulties. And these marital concerns, tensions, pressures, fears were
Mm,
literally causing her to tense up, which created internal pressure, caused the migraines, caused the digestion and the stomach to tense up. And if we had measured it, I'm certain become more acidic
right.
and even affect the microbiome, which then doesn't seem anywhere related to her stomach aches and digestive issues, right? But it's all related. And once I started working in her field and she starts releasing these pent up, tense emotions and talking about her fear, gone, 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 no more symptoms. Meanwhile, if you only looked at the body, you could go down a 10, 20-year rabbit hole and end up with surgery,
Mm.
like her mother who had her gallbladder removed and came out of the surgery with the same symptoms of gallbladder issues that she went in with because it was not the gallbladder.
Wow. This was your mom, you said, Deborah?
Correct.
Wow.
Yes. See,
Wow.
every organ, like you're saying, every issue in the body has a consciousness to it that's being affected by something going on. Like, for example, if you threw the motorcycle part with a ton of anger, you probably would have hurt yourself much worse.
Right.
Or if you really were angry about something else
Yeah.
and the anger came out sideways
Mm.
by throwing or hurting or screaming, or you would have hurt yourself much worse. And you wouldn't have seen the connection. This happens all the time. Our emotions make us sick. They either lead to health or health hell all the time. I made myself ill for decades, particularly from fear and anger. It just showed up everywhere in my body and nothing showed up on tests. This is so common, but we haven't yet in modern science, they're just now beginning to really understand the body, mind, emotion complex.
Yeah, they really are. And for people that are new to your story, I want to get to that. But one thing that is coming up pretty soon, I want to have everyone, mark this on your calendar because we're going to be sharing a very special day that could change your life. And it very well changed Helen's life. Helen, she actually did the high speed healing intensive. And Deborah, I'm sure you know her story. She had pain from an 8 that went down to a 2. She
Yeah.
could barely sleep at night, maximum 3 hours a night. Now she's sleeping 7 hours a night. She also lost 10 pounds and increased exercise, and now is able to walk 3 mile hikes, whereas before she could barely walk
Mhm.
1 block. And she released the need for any sort of pain reduction medicines
Right.
from your high speed healing work. So, I mean, these are huge results. What are
Huge.
you doing in high speed healing in these high speed healing days?
Yeah.
Because there's the lady getting off the insulin meds. There's all
Yeah.
sorts of stories. I know you've got more stories and fundamental shifts, like the lady who had, I guess, symptoms of MS or had MS, and
Yeah.
now they literally were gone. We played that last time.
Right.
We'll probably show people again. So, what is going on in this day of healing?
What's going on is, I think the simplest way to explain it
Mhm,
is when you go to your TV and you pick up the remote and
mhm,
you start clicking
mhm,
and you change the channel, you see a completely different show. One frequency over when you click, you change the frequency and the show is completely different. I'm able to facilitate for an individual or a group, even at a distance, remotely. I'm able to shift the frequency. And when the frequencies change, you must change. The body will change. Einstein taught us this. He said, when someone is exposed to the right frequency, they must change. So what's happened is we have these life experiences and we have emotions and we have thoughts. And thoughts and emotions generate frequencies that affect your field, and then your field talks to your body, and your body starts reflecting the consciousness of your
mhm.
thoughts and your emotions and your life experiences. And then you don't know how to shift back into a higher, or it's not always higher,
Um,
but you don't know how to shift back into a harmonious state. And that's where I give you the leg up by harmonizing your field, by changing the vibrational frequency. And when a frequency changes, it's instantaneous for a lot of people. It doesn't, see, we think in these 3D terms. Oh, healing has to take a long time. Oh, we have to talk about it. We have to understand
right.
why and how it all happened. No, you don't. No, you don't. You change the channel with the remote and the story is different instantly. That's what we're doing here. We're working in the multidimensional state, not the 3D state.
Yeah. And what are some of the things you've seen shifted? I know you've got a lot. We've got lists. I want to go through that. And then I want to talk a little bit about the signs, maybe that something is being affected by emotions in the biofield more than people may realize. But what are some of the areas you've seen this begin to actually shift that projection, shift what's showing up in the body?
So the first thing that typically will change is people start sleeping better
Mm,
thoroughly through the night. I mean, sometimes it happens almost right away. In the very first session, people will report, wow, I slept for the first time in years without a pill or bottle of wine. They just sleep. It's resetting the nervous system.
mm,
So I see sleep change. I see right away people say, wow, I just felt like something was pulled out of me and I feel lighter. I feel more optimistic. I feel more like myself. People with severe trauma, I mean, it is such a delight to watch what happens. They stop being plagued by all of the fear, the panic attacks, the anxiety that they've carried around for decades, many times since they were little children. They often will tell me, Deborah, I could tell it was just coming off of me.
mm,
And in fact, many people with trauma, they leave their body. They're sort of watching all the time, afraid to live life. they come back in the body, sometimes for the first time, and they say, wow, I feel like myself. I feel like I'm in my body. I feel more grounded, and I'm not afraid to be on planet Earth. I feel like I'm meant to be here now. I have many, many people come with these digestive issues, and
Okay.
they show up with all kinds of symptoms, can't eat. The digestion and the EMF sensitivity, that's another big one. And people report starting to finally feel comfortable in their skin, comfortable eating foods. And it's so bizarre because I never tell anyone what to eat or what to stop eating. And so many people, not everyone, but many people, when it shifts for
Mhm.
them and they release the root cause of the digestive drama, they go back to eating whatever they want. And the body can even come back into their ideal weight without changing anything because your weight is also affected by your thoughts and your emotions. And so when these release, the disturbed emotions and thought habits, when they release, your body comes back into balance and you don't have to work so hard and use willpower and discipline and force yourself. People do start to want to exercise and move their body, but it's not about willpower anymore. They just want to move and it feels good. Let's see what else. So many people come. Oh gosh, thyroid issues is
Mm.
another big one. And just constant pain, Darius.
Pain.
I've worked
Okay.
with thousands and thousands and thousands of people now with every type of pain under the sun from head to toe.
Okay.
Every label, again, I don't treat symptoms and conditions. I work in the biofield to harmonize it, but people come every day and report my fibromyalgia is gone. My arthritis pain is gone. I'm not taking meds anymore. Like these are real labels that people have been given, but these labels go away.
When you mention labels, Deborah, first, these are incredible stories. The labels actually, it's almost like they get into the field, it feels like, and they create a sustained projection, a sustained imprint that now keeps sort of replaying on every little
Yes.
segment of the film, that same issue, that same pain, that same diagnosis.
Right.
Explain a little bit about that, because in sort of changing the projection, I'm sure you've got to deal with people that believe, okay, I've got this or I've got that. And I'm not saying avoid medical advice, treatment, or
No,
guidance, but I'm saying don't own what maybe you are moving through energetically for a season or a time. Don't refer to it as, my headache, my,
right.
whatever. I don't want to own any of it, but tell me about
Yeah.
how you deal with that when people
Yes.
maybe are resistant to letting that go.
You're reminding me, I had someone who was so identified with her Lyme disease label.
Mm,
She actually had that as her email address. I am Lyme. I mean, things like
yeah.
that. People get very identified with the label and they start researching it. They're up all night figuring it out, looking for another solution and figuring it out and trying harder to figure it out. So every label is nothing more than a pattern. And if you would start right now, drop the label and recognize you're like, it's like a piece of music, like Darius is saying, that's playing on repeat because you got used to the pattern and you believed in the pattern. Even though you may become aware now, obviously you're on a show like this with Darius, your consciousness is expanded or you wouldn't be here, but you have a pattern running and you don't know how to get out of the pattern and into the hallway and into the outdoors. You're stuck on that revolving door from a habits of thought and habits of emotion that you may or may not even realize you are participating in. So it's all changeable, is the good news,
Yeah.
because every symptom is made of energy and information. And when we change the information, the symptoms must change. So you're not stuck. You just don't know how to get yourself of out of the revolving door, but that's where I can help you. And it's often easier than you think. These labels, they mean well in some respects, but
Mm,
they're not helping you. And so I'm not saying ignore them or pretend or deny, suppress, or repress your symptoms. For example, I see people in the chat and they're saying, well, I have shoulder pain and I have hip pain. And I'm not saying
yes.
ignore that. There's a message in your pain that
Mm,
you're misinterpreting, or maybe not interpreting at all because you see it as physical. And I want to take you to a higher, more expanded awareness about these symptoms. That's how you'll get to the root, and that's how they release. And when they release, the symptoms often immediately or shortly thereafter, they're gone. You don't need them anymore. They're trying to help you, which we never grow up learning that our pain is trying to help us. We learn, get rid of it, take something and call me in the morning, right? That's that's not the best route to take.
yeah, yeah, amazing. I do want to save time and get to some callers today. For people, though, that are wondering how you discovered this, how this came into your world, I know you have an incredible story. Can you give us 1 to 2 minutes of just kind of
Yeah.
what opened up for you that made you realize it was this whole other realm of energy that maybe you weren't looking at? And it was actually, as you said, creating pain throughout your whole body. What was going on?
Yeah, I had pain from head to toe and different
Gosh.
symptoms, and nothing was showing up on a medical test. And I thought I was just going to go nuts because these symptoms were very real. And I grew up in a medical family where everything was very logical and linear, and you went by tests and there was a pill for everything. Well, I was living on all those pills and they were killing me, and I couldn't eat anything. And so, long story short, I finally one day, I deeply surrendered into that state of, I don't know anything.
Mm,
And I am not going to try to figure it out anymore. I want to die. That's where I got. I got to suicidal thought zone.
mm,
And then I had a massive, unexpected spiritual awakening. And from that experience, I was shown how what today we know are all the principles of quantum physics. This is ancient spiritual wisdom. And it was revealed to me that I was going to be taught how to work with the free energy in the energy field, first on myself, and then I would help others. And that day was completely unexpected, completely life-changing. It was over 30 years ago now, and I've never looked back. Everything changed in my life, in my health, my relationships, my career, everything. But that's how I ended up here.
wow. Okay, everyone, I think it's the best thing to do now. I know if you are wanting some support or wanting Deborah to give you some insights as to what could be going on, or maybe just open up that door of wisdom that's going to let you get to the other side of this, go ahead and raise your hand. We got a lot of people writing in. Let me see who we've got here writing in and who would like some support today. And then we are going to grab some callers. And Deborah, how should we proceed? We've got a bunch of people with their hands raised. Wow, I've got a lot of people with an onset of discomfort just coming in out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Um, Petra, for example, 6 months from sudden onset of severe nerve pain and it still hasn't recovered. I think, Petra, I'd love to call on you. I see you got your hand raised.
Mhm.
Deborah, how should we proceed? What do you need to know from folks? And then what can we begin to do on these little mini sessions?
Okay, so you pick whoever you would like me to work with. And I want to make sure everyone in the audience knows that when I work with one person, you just fill in the blank with your
Okay.
own symptoms and your own answers, and everyone will benefit, no matter who I'm working with or what the issue is.
Wow.
And if you are the one chosen to be unmuted and work with me, no backstory, go straight to your question, the or straight to the reason I'm here is XYZ is hurting. And if I need to know more, I'll ask you, but just go right to your question or the pain point, the problem that you're here with.
Okay, Petra, I definitely am so moved by your story. There she is. Petra, how are you today?
Hi, thank you, Darius.
Hi.
Hello, beautiful people. Thank you for taking me. Yes, this has taken me by surprise, and I'm still.
What is your
Uh,
question and what's the issue that made you
Yes,
raise your hand?
yes. It's in excruciating pain. I'm okay now that I can even talk. In the beginning, I could not even talk. It's just this thing that started on my head, and now it's in spreading to the body, like squeezing me. It's like squeezing.
Okay. So I'm going to write something down as you speak.
Mhm.
So describe the words.
And the nerves are being formed. It's like the feeling is very, very strange. It's
So
like,
do your best to stay away from interpreting anything. Just
yes,
describe in words that if I were in there, what would I feel? So you said squeezing. What else?
yeah. It feels like mm,
Things like pressure, it feels hot, it feels like needles, it feels numb. What are other words that describe exactly how it feels to you? And
it's
everyone fill in the blank with your answers if you're listening.
yeah, it's pressure. It's pressure
Pressure.
from the head, the neck, and then
Mhm.
the shoulders. The shoulders
Okay.
are like, it's like everything is like hanging on a
And what else? So it's squeezing, pressure, heavy. What are other words that describe?
hard to breathe, right? It's like
What?
squeezing. It's difficult to breathe.
Difficult to breathe. So you feel
Yes.
tight and restricted.
Yes, the rib cage. It's all developed into like a bigger thing. It started in the neck and
What else does it feel like? And what emotions does it bring up for you?
it's a lot of sadness because I'm like it seems like you described your story a second ago. Like my joy of life is gone completely, and I was perfectly healthy,
So
happy, healthy
what
healer
what emo
practitioner before.
Petra, what emotions do you feel now?
I I don't really feel emotions.
Okay, see, so you're numb. You don't feel any feelings? Is that what you're telling me? No emotions come up?
No, I'm trying to always correct the fear into joy. I'm trying to always.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm asking you. I'm
Yeah, I
asking,
know.
so you're feeling fear most of the time. Is that it?
Almost, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I want you to go back
Hmm.
to a year or two, maybe longer, but at least a year or two before all of this showed up in your body. And you said it's mainly the head, the neck, and the shoulders. Is it left side or right side?
It's changing. Sometimes it's on the left and then
Okay.
it's on the right. Yeah.
All right. So when you go
But
back
it's
into
going all the way down to the feet now. Yeah. It's like
the,
almost like the fibromyalgia.
okay.
They have
Okay.
the term.
I get it. So I
Yeah.
want you to go back a year or two in your life. And was there any person or situation going on in your life where you felt pressured by them or pressured by the situation, where you felt like you were being restricted and held back and scared and you just felt like life or the person or the situation or maybe a job was squeezing in on you?
Yes.
Who? What?
It's it's the type of
Hmm?
a lot of things about the type of work I do, and
Okay.
a lot of also living situations. Basically, it was everywhere, and I had almost no peace anywhere.
See, so Petra, when you were, as you were going through this, and you're still going through it, what do you do with the emotions of the restriction and the pressure and feeling that from your work and your living situation? What do you do with those emotions? Do you know where they're going?
Into my body.
Mm.
See, you haven't learned to release them. You might even be aware of them, but you don't know how to release them.
Yeah.
So, what I want you to do right now, and I want everyone else to follow along, is Petra, I want you to close your eyes.
Yes.
Okay? Close your eye. You're in a safe space, right? You're not driving or anything.
Right now is okay. Mhm.
All right. So, you close your eyes, and I want you to go right into the most painful part of your body right now. Just go right in there And I want you to feel that sensation in your body that you want so much to get rid of. I want you to feel it. And I want you to let it to start to come up. And I'm going to be assisting you to more rapidly bring this up. And I want you to, yes, let the feeling come up, Petra. Ask it to come up. It's just energy that got trapped. There's nothing to fear. It's just energy that got trapped. Let it come up right now. Ask it to, yes, there she goes. You're doing great. Ask that feeling to come all the way up and out. There's nothing to fear. It's just energy that got trapped. Let it come up. Everyone else, follow along. There you go. What do you notice, Petra?
It's moving.
It's moving out, isn't it? Yes, yes.
But painfully still.
The pain comes when you resist it.
Ah,
The pain comes when you hold it down. And the more you get used to allowing it to come up, letting it come up, it will continue to release more easily, more quickly, more effortlessly. So what I want you to do now is just sit quietly. You're going to keep processing. You're going to keep releasing throughout this whole call. Stay with us, but just keep allowing that energy to come up and release that you've been resisting for a long time. This is why the pain spread everywhere, because
yes.
you're trying to hold it down and in and trying to stop it.
Mm.
It's time to let it come up and practice letting it come up, Petra. And you're doing great. You're doing great. Yeah. Any emotion, you may have tears, you may find yourself laughing. Just let whatever starts coming up, let it continue to come up. Okay, you with me?
Yes. Okay.
You did great, and you're doing great. You're right in it.
All right. There's a lot still. Yeah.
Yeah. How are you feeling, Petra? I know it's just kind of opening the door,
Yeah.
taking the cap off, but what's going on?
It's just the beginning. I'm still
Mhm.
being squeezed, so I'm gonna keep working on it. But thank
Okay.
you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, now you know. Now you know more. You knew a lot coming in, but now you're even more aware of kind of what was going on. So, all right, I want to go to another caller here. Write in, tell me what's going on. Back, hip pain, and arm pain, says Mary Jenks. Let me see, Mary. Thank you for writing in. Y'all don't always have to, but let's work with Mary. Mary's got back, hip, and upper arm pain. Mary, you're live. How are you, my dear? I know you're going through the pain, so I know it's kind of a silly question, but how are you otherwise?
I'm 80 years old and I'm doing great.
Okay. All right. What's going on?
Thank you, Mary. So hip pain, which hip?
Right,
The right hip. And low back or a different part of your back?
right above where the hip pain is.
Right above the hip. Yeah. And how long's it been going on?
The back pain hasn't been going on that long, but the hip pain's been going on years.
Okay.
Diagnosed as bursitis.
Yeah. And so Mary, give me a few words that describe what it feels like in your hip that you call pain. What does pain feel like to Mary, to you?
It is a dull, aching pain.
Mm-hmm. What else?
It feels like pressure.
Mm-hmm. What else?
It hurts.
And what does hurt feel like to you?
It doesn't feel pleasant. doesn't feel
Yeah.
healthy and normal.
Yeah. So Mary, were you married when this hip pain started?
Yes.
And again, reveal whatever you're comfortable with, but would you describe your marriage as healthy and pleasant, or was there hurt in your marriage?
We were married 57 years. It was healthy and pleasant, sometimes not, but
And
that's kind
you
of,
felt supported and comfortable in your marriage at the time?
yeah.
Okay. Was there ever a male in your life or your own work when this hip pain started? Or before the hip pain started, did you have any male in your life, or any issues with your work where you felt pressured, where you felt something was not pleasant, not comfortable, not a good environment for you?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what was going on?
Uh, I just had identified with something, and the rug was pulled out from under me, and I kind
Okay.
of lost my identity to that, and I had to
And
remake myself.
you had to like reinvent your life?
Yes,
Yeah.
but it didn't have anything to do with my marriage. This was
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So see, the hips are the largest joint in the body. Well, let me back up before I explain that. Do you remember how you felt when all this was going on? Like, what was the main emotion that was going on for you? Where
betrayal.
betrayal. Yeah. So when betrayal occurs, that emotion, that energy, it's going somewhere. And it takes time. Betrayal is not something that, like you said, the rug was pulled out from under you. So the body literally takes a hit. And the hips are the area where anger and other strong emotions get stored up. The right hip especially has to do with work or male energy, masculine energy. And when we don't know how to release, or we get so much that it's either difficult to release, or we don't know how to resolve the problem or the person or the job or the situation or the betrayal, especially betrayal, because there's really nothing you can do. You are not obviously able to control the person or the situation. And so that energy goes somewhere, and it often goes into the hips. And then over time, the low back, which often, again, is a metaphor for lack of support. So you look at your pelvis, you look at the hip and that whole region, that's your foundation. Not just for the body, but you said you had the rug pulled out from under you. You lost your foundation. The structure in the body alone that holds you up, and your core, you're able to like function, that got ripped out from under you, Mary. And so the energy, your body tells the story of your life. So again, what's happening now is there's a cellular memory from the emotions that didn't fully get resolved. And that's what's showing up in your body right now and can release rapidly if you're open to that. And so what I would ask you and everyone else to do is exactly what I just took Petra through. I want you to, well, there's a little bit more, and I want everyone to be aware of this. Ask yourself, Mary, is there something you never said that you needed to say, something you needed to do, but you didn't do, where you held back, you tightened up, you kept your mouth shut? Is there anything you held back and in that needed to be said or done?
I do that all the time.
There you have it. See, that's your pattern, Mary, and that's why your body is reflecting the pattern that you participate in. The body, my friends, the body tells the story of our life and our consciousness. The body is the mind and the emotions. It's literally trying to get our attention to say, Mary, it would be better for your health if you learn to stand up for yourself and speak up for yourself. And sometimes we need help with that. I did. I did not know how to speak up and stand up for myself years ago. I had to learn to do that. I had to get support that I needed. And then when I got that support, lo and behold, I'm getting stronger with age. They tell you that's impossible. Well, I'm getting stronger with age in my physical body and in my mental and emotional. See, that's what's happening here, Mary.
Hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes. And my husband passed away in
Ah,
2021.
so see, then you were alone,
Yes.
which then that layers grief on top of the foundation that was already feeling heavy and burdened. So, Mary, I love working with women like you because you may not recognize yourself. I'm telling you, I have women in their 80s who I work with all the time in my groups, and they are reinventing and liberating themselves and getting stronger than ever and feeling freer and happier with or without husbands. This is not the case. You are a spiritual being. You have a higher power. You can rely on that. And especially once you get more in touch with the emotions and what you're doing with them, it's going to change your life. And we just start cleaning up your energy field, which we're going to keep doing today. Mary, you can really reinvent yourself now.
Great. Ready to do that.
I want you to take a moment before we go to the next caller and just close your eyes, if you would, and go right into that right hip. And I want you to feel the sensations in your hip and your low back. And Mary, if your hip had a voice, what would it like to say that it never got to say? And don't censor yourself. Just the first thoughts that come into your mind. What would your hip like to say about the pain that it's in?
Nothing's coming up. I just feel a pulsating
You do.
sensation. Mhm.
Okay. All right. Well, you're feeling it already starting to shift because I'm supporting you in your field. And it may take a little practice to start to give a voice because, like you said, you've been doing this a long time where you don't speak up. So stay with me on the call today, and you might feel your body wanting to move or shift around. And I want you to let that happen if it does, because your body I can feel it. You're starting to release. And you may notice the pain come up first, but remember, Mary, it's coming up because it's moving out. There was trapped energy in there. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so just relax, keep letting it come up. And thank you for being so open.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you. Wow. We're getting this just complete shift, this paradigm shift.
Yeah.
And, when you say you're getting stronger and stronger, how many of you are like, I want to get stronger and stronger. I want to get better and better as years go by. I want to change this whole paradigm of what I think my future is going to be, because the thing that really costs us the most is that when we are in pain, when we're not able to do things we want to do, our mindset in terms of what we think our future is going to be like
Right.
can make us feel like there's nothing left and like our world's going to get smaller, smaller and smaller. And to be
Exactly.
able to finally let that go
Yes.
is priceless. But then to be able to not have the cascade of other things that can
Yeah.
accompany these energies is even more priceless. It's life-saving because, what starts in the hip and then moves around like we saw with Petra. I mean, there's really bad things that start to happen in our body when there's unresolved emotion, right? I mean, this turns into disease. This turns into major illness, right, Deborah? It's not just a discomfort. It doesn't just stop there. It tends to continue
No,
speaking, right?
exactly. And
Yeah.
it's the fear too that will start people, they're so afraid of injuring themselves and afraid of it getting worse. But what will happen is that fear emits a frequency that affects your nervous system. And so your nervous system goes into red alert all the time. There is no healing that happens when you're in red alert. We have to get the nervous system calmed down and quiet, which we don't, that doesn't happen when we're in fear all the time.
Right.
And so people are afraid of the pain and they're afraid of these dangerous drugs. So they're in fear all the time and they're afraid they're going to run out of energy. So they stop making plans, they stop living life. And like you said, then there's no positive future in their mind. This is where life becomes smaller and smaller and more restricted. And then you mentioned earlier that client of mine, Helen, that was her story. And within a short period of time, there's a cumulative effect when you start really grasping what I'm teaching and you have the exposure to the biofield clearing. This woman off all pain meds, walking miles a day, pain from an 8 to a 2, and I happen to know it went to a 0. This is what is possible when you start changing your mind, releasing the emotions, and getting the help you need in your biofield, not another pill. Not that I'm here to tell you what to take or not take, but we have a new way of healing that's so much more fun and easy and doesn't have to take 10 years.
Wow. Yeah. Well, it's obviously happening with people who are doing your rapid healings and workshops. We're going to talk more about this for everyone here who's been listening in. If you've been on the live stream, either Facebook or YouTube, we have a process that Deborah's going to jump into. We're going to get a taster biofield experience or whatever she chooses to do. But to get that, if you're listening in one of the social sites, you're going to want to click the link in the description or in the post to get the full interview. I'm going to cut the live stream, and then everyone who's here on Zoom and part of our UWealth community, we're going to move into the process. So definitely it's going to get even more amazing because we're